Basketball fans, welcome back. So, in the past few weeks, I've been talking about the BAL, I've talked about the NBA, and for a minute, I've not been able to talk about the Kenya Basketball Federation. And in this video, I'll be doing a deep dive into the constitution of the Kenya Basketball Federation. But before we get into that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified. I'm intending to get to 10,000 subscribers. Hopefully, that's a crazy goal, but it's my goal. But hopefully, with your help, with your like, share, and subscribe, I will get there. And also, I've put MPESA support there for my listeners who are tuning in from Kenya, can send me something on MPESA. And if you are outside Kenya, within the continent, or you are outside the continent, wherever you are, I've put a PayPal link that you can support the network on. So with that out of the way, let's just get into it. So this constitution for the Kenya Basketball Federation has been making its rounds because this coming Saturday, there'll be a constitutional review, and they have put up a post and put up a memo saying that they want public participation on amendments on the constitution. And there will be a virtual session on the 28th. So 25th, it's a physical one to be at the Nyayo National Stadium. And also multiple venues will be there. Then the remote one will be at Microsoft Teams in the 28th. So that will be on Tuesday, 5 to 8 p.m. I will alert you guys on what happens there as well. So without other way, let's just get into it. So I'll be posting, I'll put the link to the whole constitution down below so that you can be able to go ahead and read it on your own, just to pick up on some things maybe I have left out. But there are a couple of important, crucial things that I saw that people need to understand first when you're looking at such a massive document. So it's 35 pages, so it's a quick read, and I will encourage everyone who is involved in Kenyan basketball to go ahead and do a quick read, because they're straight to the point, they're more straightforward, and it will allow you to have the ability to understand where I come from when I talk about the issues when it comes to KBF. So I'll go straight to Article 3, because the first parts are just introductions and they're just putting things together. So the Article 3, when you talk about, when they're mentioning the objects of the Federation shall include, but not limited to control, direct, regulate, and supervise, and to promote, encourage, and advance the sport of basketball and its practice by both gender of all age groups, regardless of any disabilities throughout Kenya. So you can see to control, direct, regulate, and supervise. So those are the things that a regulatory body does. And the Kenya Basketball Federation is that regulatory body that ensures that basketball operations are seamlessly following a certain structure. And any basketball activity that happens in the country, they have to check into the federation first so that they can be able to see the standard that they have to put there. So that's one of those things that people have a tendency of not paying close attention to, because KBF has that power and mandate, and it's veto power put on to them. So they have not done a very good job in controlling, because right now as we speak, the Kenya Basketball Federation is on its deathbed, and they have been getting attacks from everyone in the media based on what they've been doing and their current practices. They've not been able to control, they've not been able to direct, they've not been able to regulate and supervise. When you look at the part when they say regulate means they're able to do oversight on the things that are happening within their house. Let's say, for example, team transfers. When you look at how much money a team is supposed to spend, how many players are supposed to be taken into a team in the off season, especially when you look at what happened with Twente Basketball when they acquired the Nairobi City Thunder. These guys did an overhaul of the whole roster. if they were able to regulate that, they would have said to Nairobi City Thunder, hey, look, you have allowed you it's okay you have bought the team, but you need to understand that you can't do an overhaul of a whole roster like that. You have to do it in phases. But that was not there. All I'm just saying is, I'm not saying what Twende are doing is not good, but all I'm saying is there's a lot that needed to be done and handled the right way by the federation, who are the regulatory body. That's the first part. Then they mentioned to foster friendly relations among members, officials, players, and supporters of basketball through proper organization of the activities of the game at all levels. So number one, the federation has a very poor PR strategy, and they have lost the support. They have lost the trust of supporters of basketball, especially the fans. They have lost the respect of the fans, the Kenya Basketball Federation. They do not have any friendly relations, yours truly included, when the federation officials in 2022 wanted to chase me away because I said some things that were different. So at that time I was covering basketball. So the thing is, they are not friendly at all, and they are going against what is there in the constitution. They cannot foster friendship because they're marred by corruption activities. Their officials are corrupt. Their players don't know where they stand, and they do not have any proper organization, especially when it comes to the fixtures. But we'll get to that. So in the objects, the first and second one, they are failed completely. So on to the next one. To exercise control over basketball by taking such steps deemed necessary for preventing infringement of the constitution and or regulation, rules, standing orders relating to the game as laid down by and implemented by FIBA. So they have lacked any ability to exercise control because they're all compromised. So that's just out of the window. They have not been able to do anything to fix anything. Then that one, they have failed. They have lost any control or any ability to do anything that will show that they are in authority. They allow impunity. It's what I think. Not even what I think, but it's what is called enjoying impunity. When two parties are able to be able to go ahead and collude and do something that is not right for the game, they have gone against what they need, what this object in this part, they have gone against it completely. Man, it's just crazy. I'm just going in and just taking it and just trying to process it, and it's just insane that these people have just treated this thing like a document. But they have failed in that one too. They have lacked the ability to exercise control. Then, to prevent the introduction of improper practices into the sport and protect the game from abuses and any form of disrepute. So the Kenya Basketball Federation currently has encouraged improper practices. So there's nothing that they're saying here that makes sense. This document, there are so many infractions that the Kenya Basketball Federation has done. The improper practices include changing of fixtures, going ahead and allowing certain transfers to happen, not heeding to transfer regulations and rules, not even finding ways to be able to structure the league. What are the disciplinary measures when an official does X, Y, and Z? They have never been able to fix that. So, yeah, and they've been exposed multiple times. Even with the court cases, with the court cases that KBF have on their plate, they have not been able to clear their name or even exonerate themselves because of how corrupt they are. And they have gone and treated this just as a simple document. But I digress. To prevent racial, ethnic, tribal, religious, political, or any other form of discrimination or any other improper distinction among members, players, and clubs, they have subverted this as well, because you can see the ethnicity of the federation is only it's only on one side, and there's no ethnic diversity in the federation at all. I'm not that person who's all tribal or anything, but it raises eyebrows to see like one community runs the whole thing. But anyway, it is what it is. To formulate and or adopt and implement appropriate policies, including policies in relation to the control and management of the men's and women's national basketball teams, SH, equal opportunities, equity, drugs in sport, health, and other such matters that may arise from time to time as issues to be addressed through the game of basketball for the general good of the public. So they've not been able to do this as well. I mean, they have carelessly mismanaged both the men's and women's team. And as we speak right now, I don't think there's fixing the men's team, there's fixing the women's team. We have seen a lot of discrimination when it comes to selection of the men's and women's team. We have seen the men's and women's team, the national teams, being mishandled when it comes to preparations. We have seen the Kenya Basketball Federation being adamant in putting people that can't do the job. And it's not even about merit. It's all about connections. So it's not even about like they want people to be there out of merit. They just put you there because you're part of the cartels. But cartels have just overrun KBF a lot. So that one, they have failed at that. Then on to the next one. To allot and control the conduct and administration of all official competitions and national team conferences and club levels, to license and endorse the conduct and management of national basketball competitions, games, and any commercial promotion advertisement in relation to the federation's intellectual properties. So they have not been able to welcome people who want to contribute to the sport, yours truly included, and they do not like a different opinion. And they have not been that friendly to people who call them out on their malpractices, such as myself. Because sometimes I feel they do some things, they can do some things right, and they do some things the wrong way, but the bad things that they do outweigh the good things that they do. I'm not saying that KBF do not do good things. All I'm just saying is the bad infractions and the bad things that they do outweigh the good. So yeah, that one they've really, really failed. To pursue through itself or such entity commercial arrangements, including sponsorships and marketing opportunities for the advancement of the game. So this is a point that I really, really want to hammer home because it's very important. A lot of times when I make videos in this channel, I talk about the Kenya Basketball Federation not being able to market itself to corporations so that they can buy their trust. Not even buy like through corruption. I'm not saying that. All I'm just saying is, do they have a buy-in? Do they have goodwill from these corporates so that they can allow them to also sponsor the events and also create long-term partnerships that can last for years? Take the case of FAWABA, FIBA, and the BAL. FAWABA signed a deal last year with the BAL and Air Rwanda, a 5-year contract with the BAL. So all the playoffs in the BAL will be happening in Rwanda. All that revenue generated, they'll be splitting it. So now you can see that partnership has some financial incentive and kickbacks coming to the Rwandan Federation FAWABA. Now let's come back home here in Kenya. The Kenya Basketball Federation, because of their poor practices, corruption, scandals, misappropriation of funds, and lack of integrity, they have ruined any potential sponsorship and goodwill coming from any corporation. Let's say, for example, if they want to partner with Safaricom to sponsor the events, they can't do it because they have a very poor track record of what they do. If you look at partnering even with Kenya Airways, which is a state-owned corporation, they can't achieve that. KCB left basketball. Corp Bank left because of the corruption that was there, that was exhibited by the members of the federation, who we are going to look at the end of this video. So the lack of transparency and lack of accountability and the way they run like cartels, it has ruined any commercial arrangements, sponsorships and marketing opportunities from anybody. Even somebody like myself, who takes time out of their busy schedule, takes time to create content for them, they do not want that. So they have failed in this part. They cannot pursue through themselves because of the scandals. Bad PR does not allow them to go ahead. Now that one, they failed. On to the next one. To do all that is reasonably necessary to enable it to achieve the objectives and to enable the members to benefit from the same. To this end, the Federation shall cooperate with, join, and support any association, organization, society, or include those activities or purposes are similar to those of FIBA, which advances basketball throughout or in specific parts of the world. So they have not been able to enable anything. They have not been able to understand how to grow the sport beyond its borders. And the tool that markets the federation is the national team. If the national team performs poorly and goes below the ranks, our FIBA world rank goes down every single time we play. That in turn hurts us, and it shows the world that Kenyan basketball is not developed yet. If you look at the countries that are knocking on that door of greatness in basketball, you'll see them in the top 10 of FIBA. I'm not saying that Kenya needs to go to the top 10 immediately, because that would be very impossible and realistic. All I'm just saying is gradually improve. Every single time the national team goes there representing the flag, we have to put our best game and have the best people representing us. They have not been able to do that. And that has significantly hurt us, especially in 2022. We lost 6 straight. Last year, not good at all. We only won one game that mattered, another classification game. Didn't even push us anywhere. This year, we only won 1 game out of 3 games. So it's just been that type of year. On to the next. To undertake and or do all such things or activities as shall be necessary, incidental, or conducive to the advancement of its object. So, I mean, it's so funny to me that all the things that they need to do are here, but they just don't follow it. Like, they do not undertake anything or even go above and beyond to reach out to commercial sponsors or even partners, as I mentioned earlier. So it is what it is. To affiliate and cooperate with FIBA or other international, continental, or zonal bodies, including entering into agreements with the above or any manner recognized by FIBA in the best interest of the members, shall be deemed fit by the council. So FIBA had come and set up shop here in Kenya in 2020 for the FIBA AfroBasket pre-qualifiers. So this one was supposed to iron out a good arrangement that enabled FIBA to be able to conduct its tournaments here. But because the federation laid an egg and mismanaged the Kenya versus South Sudan game, that game got delayed by 2 hours because of health hazard and security reasons. We have not been able to host any game or even any tournament since then. And that tournament was historic because Kenya was able to grab the ticket to get to the AfroBasket. It was very important. Kenya versus South Sudan, both of our nations, Kenya and South Sudan, went to the AfroBasket. But looking at how mismanaged Kenya was at the time, especially when it came to the federation, FIBA just blacklisted us, and I don't think in the next years we'll be able to host any basketball event here. So we did not have any goodwill coming from FIBA because we ruined the best opportunity for us to put ourselves in that light. And 4 years down the road, nothing has changed because the same gym that we play at, the Nyayo gym, has not changed since then. Actually, it has just gotten worse. The only thing that they do is just papering over cracks, just doing a paint job here and there, but no fixing anything. It's just falling apart, it's dusty, and nothing else. So any affiliation or cooperation with FIBA is just out of the window right now. So nothing like that's going to ever happen. Then to affiliate to the Kenya National Sports Council and the Sports Federation duly recognized and empowered by the government of Kenya to exercise control over basketball activities in Kenya. So KBF, they're supposed to be a regulatory body, but it looks like for you to be able to do or even get away with things, you just need to just grease their palm the right way, and you'll just go ahead and do your thing. So, tip-top corruption. To affiliate with the National Olympic Committee of Kenya and to submit to submit to arbitration before NOC and its anti-doping agency as the sole sports federation mandated to manage basketball activities in Kenya. So you have seen their affiliation with NOC and you have seen what they have done, but still, there's the problem is if the head is rotten, if the National Executive Committee in KBF is rotten, the whole body will rot. So it's rotten at the top. So that you're able to implement what is needed here in the Constitution, you need to surgically remove the tumor and get people who are of integrity to govern the sport, because the people who are occupying those positions even right now, even with the Constitution being people are being asked to participate in the amendment, it's not going to work, it's not going to cut it. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a sad situation. It's a sad situation. So that's just a rundown on the objects of the federation shall include, what they should include, and moving on, I'll leave the links so that you can be able to see the membership part. You can see basketball clubs, including the Wheelchair Basketball League, which shall be registered by the sports registrar affiliated to the federation. So these are who shall be members. We've got the county branches affiliated to the federation that are used to vote for these people who are here right now, because majority of the time, the people in the county branches are not even keeping tabs with what is really going on the ground and what happens with the happenings in the federation, because basketball in Kenya is primarily in Nairobi. The basketball played in Mombasa doesn't hit home the way basketball is played in Nairobi, because in Nairobi, that's where majority of the teams are. That's where the teams that don't have the ability to even have home games, take the case of a team like the Equity Dumas or even the Equity Hawks, they train at the Nyayo gym, so they play majority of their games there. If you look at a team like KPA, they play either in Nairobi or Mombasa. If you look at the Eldonets, they play in Nairobi or Eldoret. So the primary location of games is Nairobi. So even the county branches, you have counties, we have 47 counties. So that means you have like 47 members there. So if you want to be elected, you just go ahead and grease every single palm, you'll just get elected every time. So yeah. The National Executive Committee members duly elected at the elective annual general meeting. I feel like that's just a coronation ritual at this point. The Coaches Commission shall be registered by the sports registrar and affiliated to the federation. So yeah, there's also the Coaches Commission there, the Referees Commission, Women's Commission, and the most important one, the Players Association, that is dead, because if you look at even the National Basketball Association, the NBA, they have the NBPA, the National Basketball Players Association, that deals with players who have they have the president, the vice president there. That these are people, the players themselves represent themselves in front of the federation. Let's say you have a representative coming from the players who feels some things that are happening and they don't like it. But if you ask me, because of how corrupt the federation is, the players also fall into that trap, because if the players or coaches or even referees want to call out the happenings or the misdeeds that are being committed by the federation, the first thing that will happen is they will immediately get blackballed, they will get unfairly treated, and they'll just be shut out from everything. So the thing that majority of the players who already have skin in the game, if you're a player, a coach, a referee, you just buy into the gag and you become part of the whole mafia that is ruining Kenyan basketball. So there is no changing anything and there's no going back. So that's what really happened. So the Players Association is dead because the players do not even have a spine to defend themselves. Majority of the players are scared that if they speak against the federation, they're going to get blackballed in the national team. They're not going to get any call-ups because you're calling out the people who dictate the final list. But my thing is, if you see something that is wrong and you see something that is generally wrong and you don't want to be part of it, it's best you just leave completely. Or get to the other side of advocating for change. Because majority of the time, people just run quiet and they don't want to appear as the ones who are saying anything. So yeah, it is what it is. The Women's Commission also, it's dead. I've not seen them even congregate. The only people I've seen complaining at the Referees Commission when they were not getting any of their dues there. The Coaches Commission, if you put them together, the team managers, they're both compromised. The National Executive Committee is the root of all corruption. It's a den of corruption there, so there's nothing there. So fast forward to conceiving the members' rights. So the members, as I've mentioned earlier, you can see eligibility of membership. In the case of a club, it shall have a constitution approved by the federation, a club constitution. Save for the National Executive Committee members, other categories of membership shall be eligible for affiliation to the federation if they shall have met the requirements that I'm about to list. So in case of a club, they have a constitution, they're registered with the sports registrar, gain due admission from the federation to participate in the National League, and also paid league fees, which is something that I've seen a lot of teams have not been paying close attention to and have not been paying. So in the case of a county branch, so we've talked about the club. So in the county branch, receive due registration from the sport registrar, having satisfied the conditions as shall be in their best interest for the federation. An executive committee duly elected at an elective annual general meeting that shall have been sanctioned by the federation in accordance to the constitution. So for you to be a county branch, you just have to follow a couple of things. Paid annual affiliation fees, annual records of basketball-related activities within the area of jurisdiction. They're acting as the enforcer or hand for the federation. So if a game is happening in Nakuru, you have to check into the county registrar, the county branch. Let's say if you want to host your event, you have to check in there so that they can be able to log it into their books so that it happens. But given the way things happen, I don't think this happens that much. In the case of the coaches, referees, Women's Commission, and Players Association, each should have a constitution approved by the federation, receive due registration from the sports registrar, paid annual affiliation fees. So when it comes to even the team pays its own fees. The coaches, the body that's supposed to govern the coaches has to pay their fee. The Referees Commission, Women's Commission, and Players Association. The Women's Commission and Players Association are inactive and they don't even work because I don't think the players are united enough to be a solid front. Because a lot of players, they don't get paid from the sport. Outside the top four teams, outside the Thunder, KPA, Equity, and Ulinzi, all the others is just filler teams, and either they're affiliated to a school or they're just self-sponsored teams. So that means they don't even have the ability to even fight for their own rights because they're even fighting for their own survival to do things. So they're not even aware enough to be able to even unite and have a players association, which I must say is very unfortunate. And it all boils down to what I mentioned earlier with the federation. The inability of them to be able to pursue long-term partnerships. A team is under the federation. They can't go ahead and look for sponsorship easily like that. They don't happen like that. But if the federation puts policies that incentivizes that and they have a good handshake with the corporations that want to invest in the sport, now the teams can enjoy. But given the fact that majority of the players already are struggling to be able to like even go to even their self-sponsored teams is very difficult. But anyway, it is what it is. So we have even the application for members and admission of to the federation, which you can go check that one out. So the members' rights, if you're a member of the federation, to be called to and participate in the AGM for the federation as provided for in the constitution, to draw proposals for inclusion in the agenda of the AGM and any other meeting provided for in this constitution. So we have seen a couple of times there's a lack of quorum in the AGM, and sometimes they flop because the people who are mandated to even give like proposals to do things, they're already compromised. So majority of the time there's no following. There's no oversight or even opinions or even proposals that happen, because some of them have just been bought, or they've been told not to speak because if they speak they're going to get blackballed or they're going to get in trouble. So it is what it is. So extensively that document, I will just leave it. I'll like I mentioned earlier, I'll just leave the link to it in there. But now let's get into like the National Executive Committee. So a lot of people have been seeing a couple of names being thrown under there. You've seen the chairperson, secretary general, treasurer, fixture secretary. So we have seen those titles being thrown in there, and you have heard a couple of things being said throughout social media. But now, let's just take a deep dive into the National Executive Committee, which comprises of the chairperson, first vice chairperson, second vice chairperson, the secretary general, the assistant secretary general, the treasurer, the assistant treasurer, the fixture secretary, the assistant fixture secretary, 2 women representatives, and 2 persons co-opted by the federation. So you have all those seats there. We have like 11 seats there, and we're just going to get into that, even their powers. So these are a lot of people who are sitting in that table, and with that position gives them power and authority given the rank that they are in. So yes, the powers of the National Federation, the National Executive Committee, so shall pass decisions on all issues that fall outside the jurisdiction of either the National Governing Council or the AGM in proper convened meetings as and when shall be necessary for the furtherance of the objects of the federation. So you're seeing shall pass decisions, shall prepare and convene meetings, shall determine the terms of reference for all working and standing subcommittees which shall constitute as and when required by the National Governing Council for approval, such as subcommittees. So they have the ability to even appoint or even determine who's going to be in those committees. Should a vacancy occur in the National Executive Committee, they have the power to fill that vacancy, to fill such vacancy subject to ratification by the AGM after the next meeting. So they have a couple of things that they actually do, but that's just some legalese. So let's just get into it. The decisions of the National Executive Committee. I'm just going to go and skim through it so that you can be able to get a gist of what happens. So for a decision to happen in the National Executive Committee, there are supposed to be 50% of the quorum should be at least 50%. The decisions of the National Executive Committee shall be reached by simple majority of the members present in a majority of the members present in a vote that shall neither be proxy nor by letter. So you have to have a vote in there. Any member shall declare his or her interest and withdraw from any debate which can be due to like a conflict of interest. So the decisions taken by the NEC meeting shall come into effect immediately or as provided under the Constitution. All the deliberations of the NEC meeting shall be recorded in minutes by the Secretary General, all that. So yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things. So AGM, which was very controversial last year. It went against all the things that were here. So the Federation shall hold its AGM not later than 14 days for the commencement of the new season, and in any case, not later than 30th April of every calendar year. So you can see there was an issue with what happened last year, with last year's AGM. But this year they made sure that they did it prior to 30th April. So I'm going to leave the link to this whole thing in the description. Then got a special general meeting, got the standing committees. So another thing that I saw that was profound was even the standing committees. There are so many things that can be able to make the federation's work easier for the National Executive Committee. In the standing committees, got the Finance Committee that handles finances, the National League and Competitions Committee. So in these two, which I feel like they are the most used and important, I'll just get into great depth into them. So in the Finance Committee, they said there shall be a Finance Committee approved by the Council, which shall consist of the Vice Chairman and its Chairman, the Treasurer and its Secretary, the Assistant Treasurer, and 3 other members appointed by the Executive Committee with the following duties. So the Finance Committee, to control and manage the financial administration of the Federation, something that does not happen. We have not been seeing audit of the books. We have not seen how much money they make on the gate. And even last year, not even last year, but a few months ago when the Kenya Morans played South Sudan, the local-based players, they didn't even give the finances, a report on the financials or how much money they make. They didn't even give us that. So that's actually something that I was keen on, to advise and the executive committee on the management of any proportion and assets for the federation. So that's something that they have not done. To prepare the budgets of the federation and to submit them for approval via executive committee to the council. That's something they have not done as well. To supervise financial accounts and authorize payments on the behalf of the executive committee, because the federation does not even make that much money. Some of the operations here are not done, or they don't even apply. To collect and be responsible for the current disbursement and account for gate and other monies accruing from the federation. So we have not been able to see any of these. They have been collecting money since about for the past 3 years, and you have not even seen any financial statements on what has been going on there. So that's something that they have not been able to expound on. So yeah, that's the Finance Committee. Then we've got the National League and Competitions Committee. So it will consist of 6 members with proven ability and knowledge of basketball. If this National League and Competitions Committee existed, we shouldn't be having issues with fixtures. We shouldn't be having issues with teams. We shouldn't be having issues with the officiating of the game. So they have said 6 members with proven ability and knowledge of basketball. How do they measure this? They don't measure it because majority of the time they'll put anybody that they want there. They even put their friends there. So there's they don't check anything. So 1 accredited representative from the Kenya Basketball Referees Association, the fixture secretary and the ex-officio members, and as the ex-officio member and the committee secretary. So the fixture secretary has always been at the spotlight because of how he mangles the fixtures and plays it to the top teams. 4 persons elected from amongst teams and represent interests such as corporate, religious, universities, gender, and self-sponsored. My God, there's a lot of things that happen here that just amaze me. So the duties of this committee, as they have written here in the Constitution, to organize and control on behalf of the Federation, the National League and other competitions in the country, including international tournaments and tours, and to do all that is necessary in connection therewith, subject to the approval of the National Executive Committee. So organize and control on behalf of the Federation. Because the Federation is rotten at the top, even the other branches and committees, the financial committees, rotten as well, because the chairman is the one that has the hand. Even with the members appointed to run these committees, the final say comes from the chairman. And that's the reason as to why we don't even get to see the good things that might happen if things were run properly, because things are run haphazardly. So to keep the rules governing such national competitions under constant review and to make recommendations to the National Executive Committee on any necessary amendments for consideration. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that happen here, and they just expose everything that I've been saying all year long. To hear and determine expeditiously any dispute that may arise in connection with the competition organized and controlled by the committee, provided that there shall be an ad hoc appeal and disciplinary committee set up for every basketball season or yearly, whichever is prior. So you can see all these things, they are not followed at all. Then they have the mini basketball committee, which majority of the time I feel like it doesn't happen. You see, they have the committees have one specific criteria to try to devolve and allow the National Executive Committee to not only have their hands off, but just devolve it so that they can be able to get more work done. But the problem is the National Executive Committee want to grab all the power and they want to have all the decision making to themselves, especially the chairman. The chairman is the one that is holding these committees back. Because the mini basketball committee it consists of six members, including the coach, who is of the time being in charge of the mini basketball appointed by the executive committee, one representative of the national coaches body, one representative of the Kenya Basketball Referees Association, two representatives of primary school sports, particularly basketball. So this is another committee that doesn't work. They have the ability. They have a mandate to organize, conduct courses and seminars for mini basket coaches, referees, players, and officials and members of the federation. Also to recommend for sponsorship by the federation suitable candidates for similar and other relevant training courses. Scout for and select on merit suitable candidates among all active mini basket members for representation and international matches. So this does not happen. To arrange with institutions for the release of duty of mini basketball players required for national and international assignments, something that does not happen at all. There's little to no scouting. Foster friendly relations by developing mini basket in schools and others. So there's nothing that happens here, honestly. Nothing. And no committee works. So yes, now I know this video is very long, so I think I've hit the 43-minute mark. So on to the meat and potatoes. The duties and powers of the federation officials. So you've got the chairman, the vice chairman, second vice chairman, assistant secretary, treasurer, fixture secretary, all that. So in just closing of this video, I will just focus on like the main seats that we get to see a lot. Shall be the official representative and the chief delegate of the federation, shall preside over the statutory meetings for the federation. So you're seeing his veto power allows him so much authority over things. Shall preserve order and ensure that all meeting proceeds are conducted in a proper manner. Shall have powers in case of emergency to control the SG and the treasurer to take such necessary steps and actions on behalf of the National Executive Committee as may be necessary for the good of the federation. Shall have a casting vote in case of a tie, unless stated otherwise in the constitution. Shall be an ex officio member of all the standing committees. So you're seeing him being an ex officio member gives him the ability to not only mangle things. If he has good intentions, he can be able to give a goodwill so that things can happen. But because these people are so power hungry and they don't care about improving basketball, but they only care about themselves, the chairman can use his ex officio member status to be able to mangle the committees that are there and frustrate, let's say, the financial committee. He can frustrate it as well. He can frustrate the national league committee that is organizing basketball operations. Can do that. And that's the reason as to why the chairman needs to go. Because as he's there, he's able to put a hand in that. And he puts a hand in that, and if he's a corrupt person, can mangle it so that it can be in their favor. So yeah, that's just a sad thing. So I'm not going to go through the first and second vice chairman because they borrow the same. So the Secretary General shall be the head of the Secretariat of the Federation, shall conduct all correspondence in the name of the Federation, including the release of the annual calendar of events, which is majority of the time mangled because of the big teams who want to do things their way. Shall issue notices, take and keep all minutes of all statutory meetings except for the standing committees. Shall maintain records of all members of the Federation. Shall coordinate activities and technical work as well as function of all standing committees of the Federation. Shall be an ex officio member of the standing committees. Shall have the powers to take actions if they necessary on behalf of the National Executive Committee in the case of emergency. So you're seeing the chairman and the Secretary General, if they choose to be corrupt, like the ones that we have right now, they can disrupt everything. Let's say there are people who are appointed to be in those committees. Talk about the finance committee, the National League committee that deals with fixtures, and the mini basket committee. The chairman and the Secretary General are ex officio members. So that means when they are there, they can influence those decisions and have the final say on things. So when they have the final say and they dispute what has been discussed in those committees, and they bulldoze and say and enforce with their fist what they want, it really waters down the authority within those committees. So yeah, I mean, it's a sad situation, and that's what is happening right now. Then we've got the treasurer. Mainly, this is the money guy. Shall be responsible for maintaining the books of accounts for the Federation, detailing entries of all monies received and payments made on behalf of the Federation, which I must say we have not been seeing the books of accounts. Shall be responsible for the safe custody of all monies, movable property and assets, and accountability, and accountable for the same. So there's nothing there because the Federation, as we speak, have not disclosed any financial records or transactions they have done. And they are yet to tell us. Shall render to the Federation financial statements and records as when required. In the AGM, we require that, but the treasurer does not give us anything. Shall be responsible for the preparation and submission to the National Executive Committee for approval before being tabled before the Council and AGM. So, crazy. He does that as well. Shall keep an account of each competition or activity of which the Federation is directly responsible for. So there are a couple of things that happen right now. The regular season, playoffs, finals. We had the Elidoalo tournament. Anyway, he's supposed to do that and give an account of that. Shall keep a general account of all receipts and payments by the Federation, which will allow us to even audit the books ourselves. If this person produces that, which they don't, it is what it is. Then shall be an ex officio member of all standing committees. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, and it's just insane how it's just insane. It's just insane, man. Then we've got the fixtures secretary shall, under the general direction of the National Executive Committee, conduct all correspondence or relative to fixtures organization with the Federation, which he has done a poor job at it. Shall prepare annual calendar of events and fixtures for approval by the National Executive Committee and ratification by the Council. Shall be the Secretary of the National League and Competitions Committee, and shall under general direction of the National Executive Committee convene and supervise championships and fixtures under aegis of the Federation. So basically, this is a guy that controls basketball fixtures and schedules, of which the fixture secretary currently has just done a very poor job because the top teams have been buying their way into the fixtures and have been dictating the fixtures the way they want it. And fixtures have never come out for the whole year. They always come out every single week because they keep changing, and because the federation does not go ahead and put a stop to it, and they allow it because they get kickbacks from the top teams. All this it's all a money game, because when the chairman, secretary general, treasurer, and fixture secretary are compromised, nothing in the federation works, nothing at all. Because when those two people the main two people, the chairman and secretary general, are corrupt, they're able to influence the treasurer and the fixture secretary. If a team wants to propagate the culture of impunity and corruption in the federation, as we see in transfers, as we see in fixtures, they just need to compromise those four people, and that's just about it. So I'll leave the link to the whole document in the description so that you can be able to check. You can be able to check everything. So, that's just a rundown on what I've seen. This video has been quite long, so we're at that 51-minute mark, but anyway, it is what it is. I just said let me just give my reaction to it because I saw this conversation making its rounds, and quite honestly, I just want some clarity so that people can be able to understand what's really going on. So yeah, I'll come up with a couple of videos just talking about some few things I may have left out. And in case you like the video, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified. And I'm out. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.